Namaste, everybody. Welcome to the gathering. I am David Ault. Got a little crazy hair action going on today. Maybe because we've been moving and shaking this morning in our home because we are hosting another meetup this afternoon. These meetups, which are in Atlanta, center around the teachings of spiritual wisdom keeper Ram Dass, someone who I really, really love to listen to and to study and consistently find new things based upon where I am in my personal evolution. So as my self-awareness becomes more pliable and open, I hear such deep resonant things from this man's teaching. And if you're not familiar with his teaching, you can go to these archived podcasts. You can just Google Ram Dass podcast and you'll find it. But people like him and Alan Watts, there's so much deep, deep, really amazing wisdom out there. And it might do your heart some good to go on explorations to see what new thing wants to come and collaborate with you in consciousness. So we've been busy moving furniture because we have another capacity crowd coming in. So it's a good problem to have. But it's also really important to explore things like community. You know, I say that community or gathering places where we come to not just stay where we are, but to involve ourselves in things that elevate us. What I mean by that, it's kind of like playing sports. It's really good to play with people who are better than me because in doing that, it makes my skill set hopefully rise. I want to be with people no matter what age they are. It's not, I mean, younger or older, who who have wisdom that I want to be able to sit at their feet and be open-minded. And these types of things, I think, are sort of growth prompts or stretchings that bring about a liveliness within us, a fertility within us to always have a beginner's mind. That's really the purpose behind our meetups, is to engage in really in-depth community. And it's a beautiful thing. And I want you to also note that if you think that geographically you are not available to something like that, just watch that thought and allow yourself to consider that perhaps there are things that you just haven't uncovered yet. And the more that that seed of willingness grows inside of you, the more that that thing which matches that willingness can finally be seen. You know what I mean? It's like if we create justifications about what we can't do, then the world will always mirror back how we are right. It will just take the lead on where we are within our level of self-awareness. We can't see anything beyond our willingness. So what I wanted to stop from preparation today and come talk to you about is exactly that, is beginning to become more and more mindful about being willing to continue to have beginner's mind. It's sort of like playing sports. Um, you've probably very aware of that when you play with people who are more skilled than we are, that gives us the opportunity to advance our skill. When we sit at the feet of wisdom, no matter what age it is, no matter what spiritual path it is, no matter the religion or whatnot, if we sit with a willingness to kind of listen and to find what is pulling or resonating with us, we only can expand our own awareness. But if we always are seeking comfort and justification, then we will always be met with things that match that comfort. And comfort is sort of a very tricky place to be. One might even say that it's a dangerous place to be. And there is always within us something that I've been phrasing a lot over the years as growth prompts. Anything that's uncomfortable, consider that what it is a growth prompt. If you are a little freaked out about something that is wanting you to stretch, I like to say that that is a growth prompt, but not just a random thing, a meticulous thing that is circled around and met you again for this moment, this zenith opportunity to say yes to something beyond stagnation, beyond inert. It's kind of like when you think about the mindset of our languaging or our thoughts around retiring. It's like we're gonna do this path up until a point, and then we're gonna stop, and then we're just gonna do what? And that is a human conceptual invention because really that which is growth or that which is the capacity to learn never stops. We are unveiling our ignorance. We are unveiling our unknowingness day after day, hour after hour, minute by minute, to the degree of our willingness to do so. So I sort of set this up today with that because one of the things that um, my partner and I have been talking about a lot. I'm going to stop and I'm going to say one of the examples of being open is for me, my partner and I. I've been on the planet a while. I'll put it this way. This week I registered for Medicare. So where does it go? Where does the time go? And so I've had my share of practice with relationships. And the one that I am in, I want to say, is a culmination of my willingness to work on myself. It's a culmination, a gift, if you will, of my willingness to own my part, to see my fallacies, um, which doesn't necessarily mean staying then within a particular place, but it's seeing that what got me in that relationship was not of pure intent, meaning there was a lot of things that ran me in my youth based upon if I could fix somebody, then I would be worthy. We all know how those things turn out, correct? And I had to come to an awareness of that cycle. I had to see what it was that I was doing. I needed to look at what is it about my worth and my diminishment of that? What was the cause behind that? And each of these things has so many years of trial and error, if you will, or examination, if you will, to the point where here I am, present day, with someone that we can get up super early in the morning, have our coffee, and talk about things that are so enriching. And every week when I reflect back on the topics that we have discussed, there's this moment of just gratitude for that. And in this year of Medicare filing, I'm like, wow, okay, there is a little bit of a reaping of a harvest of being willing to do the work. And also being willing to look at all of those who have played their part in those relationships in getting me here and seeing that it was all very meticulously designed. And I offer that same sort of human roadmap. If it's true for one, it's true for all. That the cast of characters, the interplay of souls that have come in are trying to lead us to these places where we can taste a little bit of an awareness harvest and then understand that we're still not done. There is no done. So I set all of that up to say that this week, those conversations were all around um, contradiction and congruency. So we were having a conversation with someone, and they were talking about um, all of the things that were very upsetting for them, or all of the things that were painful for them, or all of the things that were draining for them. And yet, in that same conversation, they would also talk about their physical behaviors or their habits. And it was easy to see that those physical behaviors and habits were the very thing that led to the thing that they were unhappy about. And so there was a contradiction. There was a contradiction to establishing the congruency of a particular readiness for the desire that they wanted. So, congruency then is an important part of our evolution. We have some say in congruency. We have some say in examining what it is that feels stale. We have some say in examining the long-standing fears or the running thoughts that go on, meaning that if we can name them, if we can articulate them, if in a conversation with other people we can say, I don't like XYZ, then we get to look at, are there any contradictions in our behavior that are continuing to run us, that are promoting these types of undesirable outcomes? And so it's one thing then to say these things are a bother to me, but then if there's an incongruency or a contradiction in our behavior and making them better, then obviously this is not any major breakthrough. Nothing is really going to change. So it becomes interesting then as to what is the bottoming. In recovery programs, they talk about bottoming out, that low of lows, where in that moment there is nothing left but to surrender to a higher knowing. The serenity prayer is about that surrendering. I finally let go of my bloodied knuckled grip on the way in which I am interacting in the world. And what is the various bottoming outs? What is the thing that is the surrender point or the tipping point for all of us to notice our contradictions? I have contradictions and congruency. What is it? What what will it take for us to not just notice the contradiction? Because by noticing it, again, that's not enough, because we can notice it and then build a case on what a worthless piece of we are, and still nothing changes. But what's beyond the noticing to start to introduce congruent behavior, to welcome in some type of resolution? And so there's not a one and done or one size fits all answer for that, but I want to leave you today with that question. It's going to sound weird, but I'm going to say, what is your bottoming out? What is the thing where you and I finally reach a place of not just momentary surrender, but like the deepest of surrender, the timelessness of surrender, where we go, okay, I get it. I get that the way in which I have been operating in the world doesn't work. I get the way in which I am perceiving the world doesn't necessarily work. And I am willing to allow myself to untangle, to lay at this metaphoric altar of an inherent wisdom that knows far and above what it is that I know in present day. To recognize that that inherent wisdom is not separate from me, but is a part of me, or I am absorbed in it. And it's just waiting. It's sort of waiting for your and my bottoming out. And here's the other kicker: there's not one bottoming out, there's not one level of surrendering. each of those things get deeper and deeper and deeper. We go back to the word infinity. There is such deep surrendering. Sometimes we have to begin with um, surrendering certain levels of control. You might have to bottom out with regards to relationships that you have tried to control. Maybe the next level is you have to bottom out in clinging to preserving an identity or a role or thinking about who you are and trying to manage all of that around you. You might have to bottom out with that and realize that part of the evolution of us is letting go of the roles of who we think we are. And then there are other bottoming outs with regards to all other kinds of conceptual definitions and dualistic mindsets. I mean, it's fascinating when you continue to see the vastness of what being being one actually means. And so I want to ask you if you are a journaler or if you are somebody who really does, maybe you take these lessons like I take the lessons of Ram Dass. I make all kinds of notes because I still want to be in that beginner's mind. And if you still want to be in that beginner's mind, maybe what you can do this week is write down the words congruency and contradiction. Congruency is, what do you want to be congruent with? How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel um, particular sensations of a resolve, resolution, peace? So, if what you want to be congruent with are these feelings, then what is the contradictory behavior that is keeping you from that? What's the contradictory behavior that's keeping you from that? And I will tell you, you'll know in a nanosecond. You'll be able to write those things down. And this is amazing. Perhaps then what you can do is also put out there that one of the things that you want to be congruent with is like-minded individuals or a community that is feeding you. And if that's the case, then put that out there. And so one of the contradictory things to that desire for stimulating community is to stop harping on the thought that you can't find it or that it's not available. Because by doing that, you see, you continue to justify your rightness in that, and you can't see. All the world is a mirror of that which we use our word and our inner proclamations for. It's just like a boomerang. So you go from these sort of hardcore chiseled in stone things of it's this to realizing to realizing that there's far more. There's far more available. And we become willing, willingness, congruency, contradiction, become more and more fascinated and in love with the willingness to uncover congruency with how you want to feel. Trust me, um, you're not alone in this. Every every single sentient being, we're all just navigating the same thing. And the more that we can become aware and accepting of this, the more that we can, instead of harping on thoughts that we've wasted too much time, put that aside. There's no such thing as wasted time. We're all here for a little bit of blip of incarnating cultivated wisdom and opportunity, and we use what it is that we can. Don't waste any more time reflecting on the past. Start now, be here now, and begin to implement this devotion to congruency, to how you want to feel. And another little last thing is, if how you want to feel is this thing, then provide that thing for other people. In other words, if you want to feel safe or heard or valued, go out and listen and value other people. It's one of the most beautiful, simple, powerful solutions for us to be able to feel that for ourselves as well. God bless. I'm gonna go finish vacuuming and moving furniture. I love you all. I'll see you next time.